Um, although, the 2020s are obviously not a good decade, I'm going to explain my favorite years in the decade. Um, my favorite years were probably 2022 and 2024. I just think 2024 was a really fun year, and it just felt nice. I don't know if I remember all the things, but man, it did not feel that long ago. And 2022 was when I went on a trip to Europe, and I don't really remember that much. I mean, I do remember going on a backpacking trip with my class when I was in middle school. Um, Not that much I remember, but it was an okay year. It was nice. Like nothing. I don't remember anything too bad happening. Like those years were okay. 2023 and 2025 they were hard. Especially like I think the second half of 2025 was really stressful and like not that great. This year so far, I think it's going to be one of the most forgettable years of the whole decade. Like, we're not going to remember it. I remember a lot of 2021, and it was hard, but there were really great memories that involved in it. Would I want to go back to that year? Absolutely not, but there were a lot of fun memories. Even though 2020 was a terrible year, it did have some really good spots. Like 2020 was the part where was the year I started this channel, and because it was like my dream to own a YouTube channel for a very long time, probably ever since I was 10 years old, maybe. I don't know how old I was, but it was my dream. And I started it because like I was feeling bored and I wanted to do something. I wanted to have an outlet that could make me be creative. So I created that channel, and I've had it ever since. And this is the same exact account. So my oldest videos are from that year. And I also got into like karaoke and stuff, and I started like doing that a lot, whenever I was home alone, and it was a fun thing to do. And I even like created like a karaoke playlist that was in 2020, and now it has over 900 songs, and I still use it to this day. I think these years or this decade has had some memorable moments. I think this has been a very important period, and definitely very eventful period of my life. I think that I don't think this decade is like all that bad. I mean, the shit that's going on with the economy, terrible. In fact, I'd argue what's happening in 2026 is worse than what's happening last year. The stuff that's going on in 2026 with this country's like economy and its government, it's a disaster. It's awful. And I know you're like, "Oh, don't bring politics into this." Well, here's the thing. Politics are a big part of our society as humans, and I don't think you can discuss 2026 or 2025 without mentioning politics. There were a lot of crazy shit happening in those years. And this year is like terrible in terms of that. But for me personally, it's okay. Again, I do think I am going to forget this year. Getting older, like I'm probably not going to remember it, but I am going to have good memories of it. It is kind of like a weird chapter of my life because this is me like reaching adulthood, and it's kind of getting there gradually. Like I'm starting to feel more like an adult, even though I've been one since like February. It's been a little while, like maybe, what is it, 3 months? I don't know. I do think this decade is important. I think what's been going on with this decade, like the 2020s, is that it's a decade of development, and a lot of people in Gen Z are growing up. like, the youngest members of Gen Z are growing up, like, where, like, some of us are, transitioning to senior year, some of us are graduating, some of us are applying to college. Yeah, Gen Z is growing up. Like, our younger generation, like, yeah. So, but honestly, I think what really was the highlight of the 2020s, or 2023 to 2025, was I was a part of a choir for 2 years. Like, a few weeks, or like soon after I moved here to Texas, I got involved in a choir. And I went there for 2 years, but sadly it had to close because it disbanded and dissolved. It was running out of money, and there still are, like, videos on YouTube that you can watch, but I'll never forget that, because that was the mark. That was the turning point in my life, because I was able to embrace the fact that I was a singer. I thought for a long time, no, I'm not a singer. I sing badly. Like, I tried to be to try to be a singer, and like, before I went into choir, like, just doing karaoke. But I think what really improved my singing and performing was choir. People might think, oh, you gained confidence so quickly with stage performances, but no. I remember when I was, like, a little kid, and of course when I was in that school for so many years, I had to, perform at, like, fall or winter assemblies or whatever, like, perform a lot, as well as do, like, class plays. And that was really terrifying for me for a long time. And when I stopped being so goddamn scared, I think I stopped being so scared when I was going in, like, choir or something. I just wasn't, like, afraid anymore. But the thing is, how can someone be brave without ever experiencing being scared? How can one do that? Because the only reason you can become brave is by being absolutely terrified, but being willing to do it. That's what bravery is. You're scared, but part of you believes in yourself. Sometimes that's all you need. And 2025, the problem I have with it is that it went by way too fast. I couldn't really keep up with it, and in a way, I kind of forgot half of what happened in 2025, because mostly what I remember happening was being in junior year and really struggling. But aside from the really great concerts I went to that year, I don't think I remember that much. Like, I don't remember that much of early 2025, but it was nice. But yeah. So this decade, it's not great. It had a horrible start, and maybe it will get better. I don't know. But I am looking forward to 2027. I have a feeling it's going to be a good year, or at least a decent year. Like, I have hopes for it.